1. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we on side government empathize and understand that traumatic experiences that include but are not limited to things like violence, rape, and abuse are very sensitive and personal, but we also believe that to a large extent, a lot of these things are very misunderstood, underexplored, and in many cases seen as taboo, wherein individuals experiencing it aren't too comfortable to talk about it because they're so worried about judgment and what other people might think, and people on the outside looking in are just very ignorant to the reality of what's truly happening. We on side government believe that specifically art and media serve as a creative and effective lens to bring these to the public light in order to learn, know, and talk about these things that is good. This is a value judgment debate about the rising prominence of traumatic plots in media and art specifically. Here are a few features of the debate we think are quite relevant. The first is, in terms of prominence, this is with regard the rising trend and seeing this depiction being done more and more in whatever form of art that you see. For example, we think that right now in the social sphere, any young adult novel with a lady or a guy with hormones and in a relationship, 1000% have at its base some sort of mental health or struggle in order to add depth and flavor to these particular characters. Looking at characters outside what they do and looking at what they experience, especially from things that are so painful and important, don't just make the plot better, but allow us to be able to empathize and understand more. This prominence is something good. Number 2, we support this prominence uniquely because of a different or many different ways. A is the knowledge and awareness that you get, which actually validate the experiences of these individuals and allow them a deeper sense of agency to understand what they've gone through without necessarily like micromanaging what this trauma is like, because on both sides we recognize the huge vast plurality of these things, but in and of itself this knowledge is something good. B, the proliferation of these particular content shatter or lift the veil of ignorance and transform that to empathy, wherein these things start to become normalized. 20, 30 years ago, our parents and grandparents think that mental health is a myth and this is something that is not real. But over time, when people become more exposed to content, even the older generation start to respect and understand the changing brain chemistry vis-a-vis the realities of the world that truly make that particularly harmful, thus making them a bit more empathetic towards that, and see in terms of how society looks at it, discourse as a whole just becomes better, wherein you have more people being able to talk about it and bring these things which once were taboo to the public sphere. The first thing I have to say is with regard to talking about the individual, meaning we recognize that people exist on a spectrum and we want to be able to validate those particular experiences of those individuals through a character that they see on TV or a character they read about, creating a sense of connection between them. This allows them to understand that they aren't weird or that they aren't alone, and as a consequence, over time, have less harshness that they would have on themselves at a point in which they're able to see a lot of these characters being able to take a look at those particular things. And this is amidst the backdrop of rising anxiety and depression among the youth for a variety of reasons. When they're able to see that someone they look up to in an anime or in a book or on the big screen creates a sense of relatability to that, and that allows them to feel like they're not alone. We think this particularly is made better with the prominence, wherein you have a deeper sense of variety among these characters. Because a thing that side opposition might say is, oh, Josef, fuck you, you're creating this cookie cutter mold and narrative of what it is like. No, maybe in the start it's like that, but over time, because of the prominence, we don't see characters as a caricature or a black and white anymore, and we start seeing their diverse reality. That is to say, if you can't relate with this character now, Just wait, bro, because over time, we're gonna have a horse like BoJack who struggles with alcoholism and also has these mental health disorders, making you be able to relate to them. So it's only a matter of time till something that you experience, because of how Hollywood and artists work, allows you to be able to relate to those particular individuals. And that in and of itself becomes something good at a point in which you're able to understand more about yourself in relation to them. The second thing is on a societal level, wherein when these things are portrayed outside looking in, they're portrayed in a very intimate and provocative way on the big screen because they need to be able to make this relatable too. That is to say, this allows people to be more empathetic towards people experiencing it, whether it be their family or their friend, and instead of calling them a bitch because they're quiet or a dick because he's reacting that way, something unique happens when you're able to spark a sense of curiosity when you see someone on the big screen experiencing it and you start looking at patterns of similarity. Hey, my brother is also like that. He doesn't eat. My sister's anorexic. Maybe they're going through something. Let me research a bit more about it online. So this spark of curiosity is a seed that actually sparks into these people, whether they realize it or not at that time, starting to normalize these particular things, become marginally less judgmental. We're not here to say it'll change the world and solve everyone's problems, just that on the outside perspective, it allows people the idea to talk about it among themselves within their friend group, and that in and of itself allows them to not judge these people right off the bat. I recognize what Opside might say, right? They might say some stuff like, oh, you're romanticizing it, you're telling people how they should act. No, it's quite the opposite. We shatter the veil of apathy and ignorance, wherein we normalize what's happening in society and allow people to create a sense of empathy when they're able to relate with someone they look up to in a plot or in a film genre, and uniquely introspect within themselves to be able to understand what it's like to go through those things and how exactly they can become better. For all of these reasons, we think this is good and this trend should continue. We are very proud to open this debate.